Today, as we gather, please, if you have any joys or concern, be in contact with Mary Bishop or Barb Jeffries. Today, on 9/11, let us pray together. Holy Father, we place in your loving arms the thousands of innocent lives that were lost on that unforgettable morning of September 11th, 2001. We also remember the courage of the countless men and women who put their lives at risk in order to rescue, alleviate, and bring solace to the afflicted. Please help us to continue to work for a free world from every form of hatred, violence, and ignorance. May terrorism in all its forms disappear from the face of this earth. We lift up our government leaders, our president, senators, representatives, and governors. May they be filled with strength so that they can guide our country. We are thankful for this day today that you have given us, for its blessings, its opportunities, its challenges. May we appreciate and use each day that comes to us. We pray for strength and guidance for each day's duties, for each day's problems, that we may be challenged to give our best always. And may we be assured of your presence with us. Amen. At this time, please place your hands over your heart as I read the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up, we have Nolan Duck. He's going to tell us about our marketplace advertiser this week.
Good to see everybody today. Today's marketplace advertiser is Sean Foster. When economic, market, and political and life factors get completely blown sideways, as they have in the last 6 months and continue to be blown sideways, you deserve to hear an objective second opinion from a friend whom you can trust. Foster Financial is a group of financial advisors who can be that friend to you. They provide a free initial consultation at which you may discuss your wealth management and financial planning goals. Of course, Sean Foster is a member of the club, a Paul Harris Fellow, and a retirement income certified professional already. He's ready, willing, and able to help. Let's give him a virtual round of applause for supporting the Hub. Let's thank Sean Foster.
Thank you, Sean, and thank you, Nolan. Next up, I have just a few short announcements for the club members before we get to our special guest today. The Holocaust Museum tour, their sign-up sheet is on our website. I believe there's only a few spots left, maybe one or two on September 24th. So check quick and jump in there. Take advantage of that. it's going to be a wonderful, we had the CEO and president as a speaker a few weeks ago, and it was so moving, and she's going to be the docent for those tours. So very special treatment that day. Next is our Legacy of Leadership series. Again, it will be held virtually. This year, we're moving it to the evening. Encourage any members that have not yet signed up. I believe we're 13 strong right now. Would love to have you sign up on our website, and it gets started on the 21st. The PCR Connect we're going to be back at Maggiano's finally. We'll be downstairs in their dining room area, socially distanced with each other, but we will be with each other. So it's September 17th. You have a choice in this world today. You can either attend in person or you can join virtually. Special thank you to Zach Davis and Holly Hollenbeck, who are co-chairing that this year. Next up is, again, to let you know that we are now in compliance, District Governor John, with our logo. They have, RI has branding rules that we follow. I doubt it would be a challenge to any of you to find what changed in our wonderful banner and logo, but the Rotary wheel, which is that blue wheel in the center, right over the heart of Dallas, in the heart of Texas, is now solid in its outline. Before it had just a little outline on the clogs of the wheel around the exterior, but not anymore. Mark Neese and his business partner, Scott, helped us get that corrected. So last, I just want to mention the next two meetings coming up. Next week will be John DeFilippo. He is at the John Buckner Sands Wetland Center down on the Trinity River. So we're really anxious to hear what he has to say. And then following that, we're very excited to have Dr. Hinojosa, the superintendent of DI. We know he is a very busy man, as you can only imagine. And Jeff Sheehan has reached out to him several months ago, and he said, sure, I'd love to talk to you. So he will be here in the studio, and let's have a strong showing for Dr. Hinojosa, what he has to say. Well, at that time, I'm going to take a minute and introduce you to John Moser and his lovely wife, Trudy, of 54 years. Speaking of a round of applause, folks, that is worthy of note. He is our District 5810 Zone 21B District Governor for 2020-2021. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We are lucky to have you. John was born in Fort Worth, Texas. That might be why he walked in with the TCU mask on today.
Go Frogs.
There you go. He did attend Texas Christian University, graduated with honors from the UT in Arlington. As I mentioned, he and Trudy have been married since 1966. They have 2 children and 4 grandchildren. He joined American Airlines in 1966 and over a long career held several management positions with the carrier. He retired from American Airlines and he joined Sprint Telecommunications, and he worked in their outsourcing division. He joined the Rotary Club of Frisco, Texas in 1988.
That's actually 2008. That's top breath from there out.
Oop, typo. Typo, it was 2008. In that same year, he traveled to India for the National Immunization Day, and that trip forever changed his view of Rotary. He has since worked to promote the role of the Rotary Foundation whenever possible. He is president of the Frisco Club in 2012 and 2013. And in 2015, he joined the Rotary Club of Allen Sunrise. He's held several positions within the district, including assistant governor, district grants chair, foundation chair, and many more. He's a charter member of the Paul Harris Society and a major donor. And he was named District 5810 Rotarian of the Year in 2018-19. Another great honor.
Thank you.
In addition to his Rotary service, John is very active in quite a few other civic organizations. He's a member of the Presbyterian Church. He is a Scottish Rite Mason, and he is a Shriner. So with that, I would like for all of the members, I know that we cannot stand, but we would if we could, but we will greet you and welcome you with honor and distinction to our club today with a round of applause.
Thank you. I was telling everyone earlier, this year, or last year, you had the honor of having Beverly Grogan talk to you, and she was a very eloquent speaker. She could really hold an audience. This year, unfortunately, you get me. And my role this year is to deliver to the clubs at the request of our Rotary International president the goals of the Rotary International. He's asked us to deliver 4 points, and this is all 534 district governors. He's asked us to deliver these 4 points to each club, and that's what I'm going to do. So bear with me as I go through this. The first one, and this should be no surprise to anyone, one of the goals of Rotary is to improve membership. We've got 1.2 million Rotarians. Last year we had 1.2 million Rotarians. 5 years ago we had 1.2 million Rotarians. 10 years ago we had 1.2 million Rotarians. Well, we got to change that somehow. Now, every year the Rotary president asks the incoming district governors to tell them how many people they're going to bring in. And they'll give them a number. Oh, we're going to bring in 100. We're going to bring in 50, whatever the number is. And at the end of the year, no matter what they brought in, we still have 1.2 million Rotarians. We haven't changed. Well, this year, our Rotary International president, a guy named Holger Knack. Now, he's the type, he's German, but he's the type of guy that you meet him, 2 minutes later, he's your best friend. He and his wife, Suzanne, are just fantastic people. They're lovely people. He said, let's try something different this year. Let's get out of the box. So his goal is his view is that people who help form clubs tend to stay in Rotary more than those who just come in, see what it's about, and then leave. And that seems to be a big problem we have. So he has challenged us to look at forming new clubs in the district. And I'm going to talk about a couple right offhand. One of them, and I think I'm going to challenge Park Cities to do this, is called a satellite club. I don't know if you know what a satellite club is, but a satellite club is a club of your members who meet at a different time, more than likely at a different place. It takes 8 people to form a satellite club. But those are generally people who have an affinity for one reason or another. My club, which is Allen Sunrise, is in the process of starting a satellite club of veterans. They want to work together and help each other. And so we're starting a new club out there in Allen of veterans. We have McKinney Sunrise has a satellite club that meets once a week. The East Dallas Club formed a satellite club of RILA, ex-RILA students. They formed that. They call themselves the Young Professionals. They came up with about 22 people all of a sudden out of nowhere to join that club. Well, I'm going around. This is the 35th club I've talked to. And as I talk to the clubs, I mention satellite clubs, and I'm really kind of surprised at the number of people who say, hey, that's a good idea. We think we can do that. Or we are already working on it, or we would like to work on it. So I'm going to challenge Park Cities. Think about that. See if you couldn't find some people who could meet at night. How about Saturday? We don't have a Saturday club in the district. And there's certainly, I bet, people who would want to meet on Saturday. So having said that, we'll talk about something else. The other kind of club that he asked us to talk about was just a standard everyday Rotary club like we have here. The question is, why do you want to do that? Well, I'll tell you one of the reasons we want to do that. North Texas is still growing. We're growing like mad. Trudy and I went down to Ennis 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it is. We drove through Dallas. I said to Trudy, there's the state bird of Texas. And she said, what? And I looked over there, all these cranes all over downtown Dallas. They're building like mad down there. We got to Ennis, out off on the east side of I-45, housing addition after housing addition. Midlothian is growing big time. The biggest town now in Collin County, space-wise or size-wise, is Salina, Texas. It's not McKinney, and it's not Plano, it's Salina. H. Ross Perot Jr. bought a big plot of land out there, and he's going to build a big addition out there. So the town annexed all this room around this addition he's building. Now they're the biggest town in Collin County. Grayson County, just south of Van Alstyne, they've purchased 2,000 acres and they're putting in 6,000 houses. Princeton, Texas, Princeton, just on the west side of Lake Lavon, has grown 4,000 people in 2 years. Well, it only takes 25 people to start a Rotary Club. So with all this growth, 6,000 houses in Van Alstyne, a big addition in Salina, in Princeton, you would think we could find 25 people to start a club. Now, I will tell you, we actually had done that in Princeton until COVID got in the way. Here was our plan, and here's what we did. To start a new club, we actually find another club close to it, and we asked them to be the parent of this club. So we went right across the lake, Lake Lavon, and got Farmersville, and Farmersville was working with us. They got us in with the superintendent of schools, and he agreed he would let us use their high school gym to have this club. He got us in with his Chamber of Commerce there so we could talk to the people, and we had people who were willing to come. But then guess what happened? COVID-19. The schools closed. We can't get into the schools. So our plan kind of stopped. Our plan was that Princeton is the kind of town that you're there in the morning, you go to work somewhere else, and you come back at night. Our plan was when you come back at night, go by, pick up the spouse, the kids, come to the Rotary meeting, and we'll have a Rotary meeting at the school when we could. Family Rotary Club. That's what we really thought we'd form there, and we thought it would be good. And we had a great opportunity to do that. We will still do that, by the way, once COVID gets out of our way and we can move forward. Well, so we think there is lots of possibilities in District 5810 to add new clubs. We got 61 right now. No reason we couldn't add more. So it's something we're looking at. And of course, the first thing is satellite clubs, if you would consider that. One last part of that, does everyone know what a Rotary alumni is? Most people think a Rotary alumni is someone who has been a Rotarian and resigned and quit and gone somewhere else. Well, that's not exactly what an alumni is. An alumni is someone who has received something from Rotary, such as scholarship, group study exchange, RILA, Rotaract, Interact, any of that. Those people have received something from Rotary and never become a Rotarian. So those people are the people we're going to target to see if we can get them to come back and join Rotary. We've got over 600 people on our rolls right now in District 5810 who have been Rotary alumni. And we think surely we can get some of those to come back and join us. Well, that was the first point, membership. Membership's always key. Well, membership feeds something else. And you know what that is always? The foundation. And the foundation is, obviously, if we don't have members, we're not getting as much money in the foundation. And that is a sad truth. So we're asking everyone, now this club in particular is one I don't have to worry with, but with a lot of other clubs, the donations are down, and that's a problem. Got a sad story. It's a sad but true story. And the sad but true story is that in 2013, we started this new model in the foundation. It's called Future Vision. And we came up with a new form for district grants. We came up with a new form for global grants instead of the old-fashioned 3H or 4H matching grants. The global grants worldwide took off like nobody's business. They have grown and grown and grown. We've given something like $86 million worth of global grants out for doing great work in the world. That's where we do water wells. That's where we do schools. That we do hospitals. All kinds of wonderful things are done using a global grant. Well, when you give money to the annual fund, and that's what we ask everyone to do, is give to the annual fund, that money goes to the foundation. For 3 years, it sits in the foundation earning interest. At the end of the 3 years, half of the money comes back to the district. We use that money for district grants, for scholarships, for whatever we do in the district. The other half of the money goes into what's called the World Fund. And the World Fund is the fund we use to fund global grants and ambassadorial scholars, other kind of scholarships, things like that. When COVID hit, this kind of is a sad story. When COVID hit, the trustees of the Rotary Foundation decided that they would put disaster recovery grants out for any district that wanted to have one. $25,000 grant. We've got 534 districts in the world, and they put $1 million on the table. And when they said, all right, if you want a grant, come get it. Well, you can do the math and you can figure out that everybody, 534 people wanted $25,000 grant. $1 million didn't go very far. So they added another $1 million and they added a third $1 million and they still hadn't covered it. And eventually Rotary stepped in and the board of directors gave $1.7 million to this cause. And we finally took care of all the disaster recovery grants for all the districts. The bad thing is that in doing that, giving out all those grants like that, the money came from the World Fund. We depleted the World Fund doing that. So between May the 15th and the end of June, we couldn't issue a global grant. We had no money. Now, the good side of that is, or the nice side is, as I told you, at July the 1st, the 3-year window opened back up and money came back into the World Fund. And so we had some money. But here's the underlying story. We're just not getting enough money into the World Fund. We're giving global grants like mad. We're just not getting enough money coming in the other side. So the plea is to please give to the World Fund, and that way we can do lots more good things in the world everywhere. Now, Trudy, you going to say something? Trudy's not going to say anything. All right. I'll talk a little bit about polio. Polio happens to be my wife's charity of choice. When I joined Rotary in 2008, and that was in March. In April, I went to a district assembly, and everybody ought to go to district assembly. Sandra Foister was leading a charge about people going to India for a national immunization day. So she said, anybody want to go? And I have no idea why, but my hand went up and I said, yeah, I'll go. And I did. So in December of that year, I was on an airplane going to Hyderabad, India. Let me tell you, when you go to India, you go to the slums. Now, we think of slums as ramshackle buildings. Let me tell you how they do slums in India. Where we saw them in Hyderabad, trash dumps. They would dump the trash and would make a pile, a big pile. Then another big pile next to it, another big pile next to that, and on and on and on. They would build their little shanties in between those trash piles, and that's where they were living in there. Those are the people we were visiting and giving polio vaccine to the children in those little slum areas. The walls of their house was trash. I mean, that's what they were living in. Well, the sum total of this is I'd take a baby and I would put 3 drops of life in that baby's mouth and save that baby from ever having polio again in its life. And that's really what this is all about. The district has agreed to give $32,000, 20% of our DDF, to end polio now. And we are going to get matched. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation will match our donation 2 to 1. So our $32,000 comes out to be $96,000 that goes towards ending the polio crisis. There is good news in the polio environment, though. Anybody know what August 28th is? August 28th is the day that the World Health Organization declared Nigeria polio-free. Now, if you stop and think about Nigeria and you wonder, think about looking at the country, and up in the northeast corner of the country is this little group called Boko Haram. And somehow, even with the terrorists in that area, the workers have eliminated polio in Nigeria. Well, one step past that, when they got polio out of Nigeria, then the entire continent of Africa is polio-free. They never said we would get polio out of India. We did. They never said we'd get polio out of Africa, and we did. Now we've got 2 countries left, Pakistan and Afghanistan. And they're problem areas, but we're going to get polio out of that area. And it's with your help, your contributions, we will do that. It's kind of a strange situation right now. Because of COVID, we've had to stop inoculating children. So there's been kind of a pause in doing that. It's bad because now they're at risk. But at the same time, the kids are staying indoors and they're not associating with each other, so they're not spreading polio among each other. So the number of cases of polio this year in that area is down, and it's not so much, we wish it was, because of inoculations. It's because they've been isolating themselves. So that proves isolation works. I think we've had somewhere in the neighborhood, roughly about 110 cases between the two countries for the entire year. Last year at this time, we had something like 180 cases. So we've improved that. 68 cents is what it costs to inoculate a child for polio. Well, why do we spend so much money in inoculating children? Well, we don't. The biggest part of the money we spend is for surveillance. Unfortunately, polio grows in your gut. And so we have to surveil sewer systems in 33 countries to make sure that polio doesn't make a comeback. And that takes a lot of money, a lot of science to do. So that is a true crucial item to make sure that we keep that up. World Health Organization says if we stop immunizing children, because remember, we're still doing it in all these countries, but if we stop, we'd have 230,000 cases in the next year. So we don't want to stop with polio. Okay, so we got the foundation, we got membership. Well, the third leg of this little triangle, this stool, is public image. And you guys are on top of public image like nobody's business. I mean, every time I had something to talk about in public image, you've already taken care of it, like your logo and other things like that. Public image is something, though, that is critical to Rotary. Several years ago, I think 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that, we Rotary hired a firm to survey a lot of people and find out what they thought about Rotary. And they went out and they asked the question of all these people and see what they thought about it. And if you took all of these people and condensed them down into a group of, let's say, 10 people, one person knew what Rotary was, 2 had heard of it, and the rest of them had no idea whatsoever. So the board of directors of Rotary said, you know what, we got to change that. If we want to grow, if we want to survive, we got to change what's going on. Well, one of the things they realized is, you know, if you look at a screen and you see this thing like that and a word swoosh, you know what that is, right? Nike, it's a brand. You see a red circle and it's got a bottle in it, you know that's Coke. You got a brand. Well, they looked at our little pen and people say, what's that? They don't know what that little pen is. So they've changed our brand, and that's exactly what Barbara was talking about. Our brand now is still the wheel, but next to the wheel, it says Rotary. There's no mistaking that. It says Rotary. So that is our brand. Now, we're not telling you to go out and destroy all the old stuff. However, anything new you get, you need to make sure you put the correct brand on it, especially any kind of material you put out, like your public image, your social media, all of that needs to make sure it has all the correct brand on it. Branding is important. We want to make sure everyone who sees it will know what it is and continue doing that. The last thing that the president of Rotary wanted us to talk about, and again, he's taken all my fire. I don't have much to talk about here. We got 28,000 plus clubs in the world. Holder is under the perception, and I agree with him, that the majority of the clubs, and I'm going to say the majority of clubs in our district right now, have no idea what they want to be in the next 5 years. They do not have, and they never have had, a strategic plan. And his challenge to every club in the world, and I've done it here, is to have at least one meeting during the year for a strategic planning session. Excuse me. Figure out where you want to be. Excuse me, I'm going to have to get some water here. Figure out where your roadmap is going to lead you. What kind of club do you want to be you know you've done it. I was preaching to the choir. So you guys are the poster boy for strategic planning. We love it. Thank you very much for that. Makes my speech a whole lot shorter. So I'm through with the 4 pillars that we talked about: membership, foundation, public image, and strategic planning. Those are the 4. Now I'm going to go off on something totally different. I'm going to do something I don't think any other district governor's ever done, and I'll do it. Help. We need help. When I came in this job July the 1st, we have a bunch of committees in the district. I mean, a bunch of committees in the district. And you know how many people are in those committees? We have a history of having committees of, and you know that committees of are not really effective. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, now this is the perfect time for anyone who's ever thought about working on a committee or would like to work on a committee in the district to do it. Think about it. You don't have to travel anywhere. All our committee meetings are virtual. So you can join a committee and go. Heather has done it. She's become a member of the membership committee, and from what I understand, an outstanding member. That's great. But we do need members. We do need volunteers to work on lots of different committees. If you have a desire and would like to work on a committee of any kind, call me, send me a note. I'll be happy to put you in contact with someone. Even if you don't know what you want to do, we'll talk to you and figure out what's available, what you might want to do. We've got a lot of room and a lot of opportunity. Rotary opens opportunities. This is your chance to go out and meet other people in other clubs and find out what they're doing. So please do that. Well, I'll end this, well, almost end this, because I still got to have a true story. I got to have a true story. But last thing is, Saturday is our Rotary Roundtable. We have that the second Saturday of every month. So Saturday at 10 a.m., it's open to everyone. Just dial in. Sorry, no donuts. You're on your own for the donuts and the coffee, but dial in and find out what's going on in the district. Easy to do, right? Please do that. October the 17th is another special date. That's when we're going to select our district governor nominee designate, the person following Howard Templin, who's on this call also, or was on this call. We've already selected the people who will interview the candidates, but the deadline for applying to be the district governor, if you would like to be, is September the 14th. So if you have any desire to ever be a district governor, now's a good chance to do it. Fill out the application and go through the interview, and we'll see what happens. If you recall, in March, we were going to have Beverly was going to have a party called the Roaring 20s Gala, and we had to move it to November because of COVID-19. Well, looks like we're going to have to move it again. So we're moving it out to maybe March or February or March of next year. But we are going to have the party that we promised everybody in March. It may be a year late, but it depends on COVID. So we'll get rid of that and everyone will be in great shape. And the last thing I'm going to talk about as far as dates is concerned is the November the 21st. Yeah, November 21st is the foundation seminar. That's where you learn all about the foundation. You can get your club approved for a district or global grant in the year 2022-23. Just do a lot of good things. It's going to be virtual also. So that's something you want to watch out for and sign up. Now, the one thing that I am noted for, it's not speaking, but I will tell you this. I always have in all my talks a true story. And so I thought I would tell you a true story. Before COVID came around, I was standing in the narthex of the church. I was by myself, except for one young man who was standing over in the corner, and he was reading a plaque on the wall. Just reading that plaque. Pretty soon the pastor came out and he said, "Son, what are you doing?" And the little boy said, "Well, I'm reading these names. What are these names?" And the pastor said, "Well, son, those are all names of people who have died in the service." And the little boy looked at the names, and he looked at the pastor, and he looked at the names, and he looked at the pastor, and he said, Was it the 9 a.m. service or the 11 o'clock service? Thank you very much.
Oh, Jeff would like to agrees that we need a stronger brand. And what are we doing to promote that brand?
Well, we have committees that work on that sort of thing, public image committees, and we do have a committee, and we are looking for volunteers to work in that committee. So if you're interested in trying to promote that, we'd be happy to have you and to let you work on that, and we can bubble that up and see what happens. What is a stronger brand? I have no idea, but there's plenty of opportunity to do it.
That's great. And Happy, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Governor. I just wanted to point out that you and Ruth both went on the India trip together.
Oh, I didn't realize that. So, yeah, that's great. That's great. Is there any other questions? I have a couple of things that came to mind as I listened to you. One was the challenge for a satellite club. I'm having a little trouble wrapping my mind around that.
Okay.
We encourage membership and growth, and being a little bit possessive of our 142 members, I think it would be hard for me to let them go.
You don't.
Oh.
So the satellite club are members of your club. They just meet at a different time and different place.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So now, if you've ever had someone come to you and say, "Oh, I'd love to come, but I can't get off work." Well, we got a satellite club that meets at 6 o'clock at Maggiano's. Come join that.
Gotcha.
So there you have a new member that way.
Okay.
It takes 8 people to form a satellite club.
Oh, it does. Okay.
But
Okay.
we're finding that there's a lot of, especially younger people, who don't want to meet in the daytime. They can find a lot of time for that.
They can.
Yes, they can.
I think happy hour might ring true. For sure. That's great. Well, let's see. I do know, thanks to a wonderful long-term member, Greg Pape, that we are very dedicated, and the club has done a wonderful job stepping up to his challenge of the donations to Rotary International.
We pulled a joke on Greg. I don't even know if he's on the call or not. A couple of years ago, he made his second level major donor. And we had a major donor appreciation dinner at table 13. And Greg called me and he said, "Could you present me my second level pin that night?" And I said, "Greg, I'm sorry, we can't do it. We just, we're too busy, we're too tied up." Well, we'd already planned that, so we didn't want to let him know that. So we had to pull a joke on him and tell him that, no, we couldn't do it. We gave it to him that night anyway. But he is a great, loyal, wonderful donor to the foundation. We appreciate all that.
He certainly generates the inspiration and the excitement around the purpose of Rotary International, which you spoke to so beautifully.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful, the reason we exist.
That's the reason we exist.
To be worldwide citizens. Great. Well, I'm going to take this opportunity. Let me just check one more time if we have any other questions or comments.
I can always tell another true story.
Does anybody need another laugh? Well, I'm going to take this opportunity, speaking of Rotary International, to present your lovely wife, Trudy, with our donation toward End Polio Now.
Thank you very much. Every donation helps us get that much closer to ending polio so that no one else will have to suffer the effects of this terrible disease. So we definitely thank you for this.
Thank you.
And as John Jerem, ex-Rotary president, says, the children in the world thank you too.
Oh. Or most importantly. And then before we wrap up the meeting with the four-way test, I would like to present each of you with one of our Rotary masks.
Thank you.
These are thanks to last year, our president last year, past President Richard Stanford, has purchased one for all the members in our club.
That's wonderful.
And it's got the right brand on it.
For those who didn't know, that is our new brand.
No, it's great. And we all have one, and we wear them with pride. Jeff has another quick question before we wrap up. I think maybe we address it. What is Rotary doing to grow our brand awareness and to get the mission and work of Rotary in front of more people?
It's a kind of a long story. To get the mission and work of Rotary in front of more people in the United States is one thing. In the rest of the world, we don't have that big a problem. But But here in the United States, we have a huge problem with noise, especially here in Dallas. If you ever try to get a story in the paper anywhere in Dallas, it's terrible. Denison, Texas, we have about, I don't know, 110 people in that club up there, but also in that club is the anchor on the 5 p.m. news on that local TV channel. So we don't have the problem in getting that out there. We have a problem in this area. And that seems to be the way it is. When you go to the small towns, we don't have the problem in doing it. It's the big areas we have it. And it's just a matter of noise, trying to get through that noise.
It is. There's a lot of information out there competing for attention, which I think brings it back personally to us to continue to update our Facebook pages, our Instagram, we try as a club to keep our website current.
I will throw one thing out. If you ever look at the pictures of Rotary in web pages, they always show us doing this, right? Well, that doesn't tell you anything. We need action pictures. Get out there with a shovel or a broom or a box or whatever it may be. Do action. Sherman, Texas has done a wonderful project 2 times in a row. They're about to do the 3rd one. They go in and remodel playgrounds in slum areas, poor areas of Sherman. The first one we were at, I was up there, and this lady came up to me, and she was obviously a member of the community around there, and she said, you know, this is wonderful because you guys all get to go on vacations. This playground is the vacation for my children. That's the kind of quote that expands our brand. You get that out in the news, and you get a lot of people interested in now who would do that? So that's what we're doing, Jeff.
That's great. That's great. All right. Well, we thank you all for your time. We thank you for joining us today. We thank Mark Neese for making us feel at home in his lovely studio. We are going to now do the 4-way test. If you would all join us. Would you please lead us in the 4-way test?
Join me in reciting the 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First.
Is it the truth?
Second.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you.
There we go. Well, everyone, go outside and enjoy this lovely weather. Have a safe weekend. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. That was nice. Appreciate that.
Welcome.